Now, why did this shooting happen? And I've kind of covered this on another live. I actually covered it probably in a couple of different lives and a couple of different videos I've placed online. But the left keeps saying to tone down the political rhetoric. And if you're familiar with the left's political rhetoric, there is plenty of far left Democrat progressives out there that are highly heated in their rhetoric. Jasmine Crockett is one of them, saying that you need to punch your enemies, you need to punch them, saying that Ted Cruz needed hit over the head, and that she would like nothing more for her birthday than for Elon Musk to be taken out. Now, obviously, she's saying that this is figurative, it's symbolic, but the people that are receiving this message are not seeing it that way. And I know that because they're acting upon it. Now, they're never giving definitive statements. I have nothing definitively linking a specific action to the rhetoric of Jasmine Crockett. But when all this is put out there and you kind of put it all together, you look at Maxine Waters, for instance, saying that if you run into a MAGA person in a store or at a gas station, that you're to go up to them, to engage with them, and let them know they are not welcome. And then you get Hillary Clinton out there that's saying that we're deplorable. And actually during her campaign, what was she saying? She said the Democrats and the Republicans need putting a camp together so we can learn to cooperate. That sounds crazy to me. But that's saying that we need to get together and engage. And then on top of that, they're adding heated political rhetoric, not necessarily directly calling for violence, but in essence creating the stage for it. So they want us to engage directly in coming up and getting into the face of people heatedly and saying that you don't belong here, and we don't like what you say, and we don't like what you believe in. And then at the same time saying we need to punch our enemies. We need to hit Ted Cruz over the head. We need to take out Elon Musk. So when you're setting the stage for this, they're expecting violence. Now they're going to tell you that that's not what they're doing, but just look at it. Look at what they're saying and look at what they're setting up, and then look at the end result. But they're going to claim, like Nancy Pelosi did, that they're not accountable and they're not going to take account for those things that they've said and whether or not they've actually led to physical violence, even though it's supposed to be through speech. If you want to come up and debate, that's what Charlie Kirk was doing. But the reason Charlie Kirk made a mistake is there's a lot of people out there that have a really fragile view in society because they have their the entirety of society and their persona and everything around it is a part of a lie. It is a lie. So they can't have any of the blocks pulled out from that lie because then the entire thing collapses. So they don't want to hear what you have to say. They've got to protect that at all costs. And that's why he ended up getting shot. There are some people out there you just can't have a conversation with. They don't want to hear what you've got to say. They've already determined what they're going to believe, and they don't care if the logic behind it is founded in reality or not, whether it's constructed or not. Even though we can see in some cases, obviously, with anybody with half a brain is going to be able to say that a man in a dress is not a woman just because he says he's a woman. I'm sorry. I'm not going to say that that's true. And he was stating that, and that's all he was saying, is that you can't force me to tell you what you're doing is true and right when it's not, when it's obviously not, and it's fundamentally not true in reality and based in science. So that's one of the main points here I want to make with that. But then you get other people out there also, and this just goes to the political rhetoric and how charged it is. You get Kamala Harris out there saying that Trump is a communist dictator. How does Trump have anything to do with communism? Communism is completely and totally opposite. It's the antithetical. It's the antithesis to capitalism. So how would Trump be a communist dictator? That doesn't even make any sense. But it's coming from Kamala Harris, so I really don't truly expect it to make any sense to begin with. Now I'm just going to scroll down through here because I tried to get this a little more organized than I have been in the past. And this specifically right here, what I've got written down or typed into these pages here is specifically concerning why it is directly that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. It wasn't just about his viewpoints. It wasn't just about his religious affiliation. It wasn't just about what he was saying. It was about who he was reaching. The group of 18 to 29-year-olds in the United States is an extremely important group. These are the young adults. They're going to be taking over everything in the near future. And these are the people that he was reaching, and he was actually convincing them to move further right. And not just a little bit, but significantly to the right. And in large numbers. So, when I say that this is why he was killed, obviously, if we look at this directly at face value, then it was just a man, and this is if you just go by the evidence that there is out there, that was involved in a Trans-Tifa, transsexual cult, and he just hated the fact that Charlie did not agree with the lifestyles of transsexuals and homosexuals, and he did not want to capitulate to saying that what they are, that they're saying they are, is what they are. Now, that's face value. But like I said before, and like the Bible says, the ruler of this world, the God of this world is Satan. And the people that he rules through are the people that are in charge of the planet. And it says that it's spiritual wickedness in high places that we're actually fighting against. So that group, whether they be physical, that is both physical and spiritual, that we're fighting against in that sense. And they could not allow him to continue in this. So obviously what I'm talking about is separate from the idea that it was directly directed from Satan himself. Oh, we got to take out Charlie Kirk. But if we're talking about how this moves forward, how we progress further to the left, and into this new one world order, this new world order in society, that people like Charlie Kirk have to be removed. Because they are just reaching too many people at a very, very, very important time. Because we're kind of reaching the point at which there's a saturation of this kind of ideology in society where they're going to have to get over the edge through violence. There is no way to get past this certain point after the saturation has occurred in society with this ideology. There's going to be a certain number of people, and I've already talked about this, that are just not willing to capitulate, and they're not willing to bow down to this, that they're going to have to be removed, physically removed. And it's already been spoken of. If you look at the Georgia Guidestones, what they want to do, they wanted to get rid of like 90% of the population. Bill Gates is talking about it constantly, how we need to reduce the world population. And when I say reduce the world population, I'm not talking about like 1 million or 1 billion or 50 million. We're talking about, there's 8.5 billion people here approximately, so they want to get rid of 8 billion of them. That's a lot of dead people. And they're not just going to die off. They're going to have to be physically killed. So he's saying that we can do it through healthcare. And when I say he, I'm talking about Bill Gates. Through vaccination programs. Now, if you look at the statistics, what you see is that once you move from a third world country to a first world country, your population stabilizes. You don't have that exponential growth that you have up until that point. But they don't want these third world countries to become first world countries anyway. They just want to get rid of the populations. They want to get rid of the populations now so they can just move into this one new world order where they're controlling everything, and that the society is just at their beck and call, and all the resources are for themselves, so they can utilize them for their own technological advances and for their own life extension and for their own benefit only. So that is why, mainly why, I believe, in a spiritual sense, that Charlie Kirk was taken out. And I also believe that God allowed it so that we could see where we are. It gave us a gauge so that we could actually measure where we're at in this timeline and how far we have progressed down this road. So that we can either say, all right, are we going to take this and turn back? Or are we going to continue to progress toward this and just let it happen? Because that's all it takes for evil to succeed in this world, is for good men to do nothing.